All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order with the statement of proper notice. Notice of this meeting has been posted on the municipal bulletin board and forwarded to the Hopewell Valley News, the Trentonian, and the Hopewell Express on January 6th, 2025, in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975. Roll call, please.
Committee Member Kaczynski is absent. Committee Member Purandare.
Here.
Committee Member Ruger.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Che.
Here.
And Mayor Peters Manning.
Here. And please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And tonight we have two proclamations. The first is recognizing Turkish Independence Day and commending the Federation of Turkish American Associations. And we will start with Ms. Purandare.
Thank you. Whereas it is a proud tradition of the Township Committee of Hopewell Township to recognize individuals and organizations of outstanding integrity whose efforts enrich the culture fabric of our communities and state. And
whereas the Township Committee is honored to acknowledge the Federation of Turkish American Associations and its president, Erhan Atay, as they lead in the commemoration of Turkish Independence Day. And
whereas this day, October 29th, 2025, marks 102 years since the historic founding of the Republic of Turkey, established under the visionary leadership of Mustafa Kemal Ataturk. And
whereas the FTAA, based in New York City, plays a vital role in fostering friendship, understanding, and cooperation between the United States and Turkey, supporting veterans and inspiring pride in Turkey's rich cultural heritage. And
whereas the efforts of organizations like the FTAA contribute significantly to cross-cultural understanding and community spirit. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Township Committee of the Township of Hopewell, County of Mercer, State of New Jersey, does hereby commend the Federation of Turkish American Associations and President Erhan Atay on this meaningful occasion of Turkish Independence Day, recognizing their valuable contributions. Thank you. And next we have declaring October 28th, 2025 as National First Responders Day. Deputy Mayor.
thank you. Whereas first responders, including public works professionals, firefighters, police officers, emergency medical technicians, 911 operators, paramedics, and other emergency personnel, stand on the front lines of our communities, selflessly serving and protecting the citizens of Hopewell Township in times of crisis. And
whereas first responders respond swiftly and courageously to emergencies, often putting their own lives at risk to ensure the safety and well-being of others, whether in natural disasters, accidents, medical emergencies, or public health and safety threats. And
whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Hopewell Township to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and other first responder efforts in their respective communities. And
whereas as of 2019, the U.S. Senate has included language recognizing public works alongside failures and other responders.
now therefore be it proclaimed on this 10th day of November 2025, I, Courtney Peters Manning, Mayor of the Township of Hopewell, County of Mercer, State of New Jersey, do hereby recognize and celebrate October 28th, 2025 as National First Responders Day. I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies paying tribute to our public works first responders alongside law enforcement, firefighters, paramedics, emergency medical technicians, 911 operators, and other emergency personnel to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and advancing the quality of life for all. Thank you. And it's that we, in Hopewell Township, we always include public works as first responders because if you can't get through, if the roads are not clear, if there's brush in the roads, the fire trucks and the police can't get through. So it's an important part of first responders. So thank you to our public works department. They're always considered first responders by Hopewell Township. Okay, so now we have no additional items for the meeting agenda.
No, Mayor.
And we'll move to committee member and staff reports, starting with Mr. Snyder.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and committee members. I do not have anything to report tonight.
Okay. Ms. Burkhead.
Good evening, Mayor and committee members. First, I would like to update Committeewoman Purandare. Hopefully by Friday, I will have an answer regarding the bus shelter. So I just wanted to let you know it is still an ongoing thing.
Yes.
And also just to let you know, we are starting the interview process this week for the Community Development Coordinator.
Great.
So hopefully we can fill that soon.
Wonderful.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Mr. Goodell.
No report tonight.
Okay, Ms. Troutman.
Nothing new, but just acknowledging that we are continuing work on the 2026 budget.
Okay. Ms. Fenton Newman.
I just need to announce that the Township Committee meeting of November 24th will be canceled. The next meeting will be on December 1st.
Thank you. And now we'll move to committee members, starting with Mr. Ruger.
All right, two things. Mr. Snyder, I just wanted to commend everybody who was involved in the rabies clinic. It was incredibly well run. We went with 2 larger dogs. The vet came over to the door of the car. You know, we popped open the back. They were able to vaccinate. She was able to vaccinate the dogs in the car. You know, several years ago, I had been to one of the clinics where we had to take the dogs out of the car and all that. So it was really nice to see that. A lot of happy people with that. So, you know, my thanks to everybody who was involved. I also want to thank, as I'm sure that my fellow committee members will, the Hopewell Valley Veterans Association for a lovely and moving ceremony on Saturday commemorating Veterans Day. That's all that I have.
Thank you. Ms. Perendre.
Just one announcement, the Environmental Commission meeting is going to be on November 18th on Zoom at 7 p.m. That's it. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, and I'd like to echo the sentiments from the Veterans Day ceremony earlier this weekend. A couple quick updates. A lot of them are photo related. So the first one is the photo contest voting continues for great photos taken from around the town. That'll be part of the calendar, so please participate, and you can find a link for that on the Township website. Secondly, as part of the New Jersey Film Ready certification that you've heard us talk about, we've submitted that application, and actually representatives from the state will be here on Wednesday taking photos from around the town as a part of that process. So lots of that to do with photos. Last thing just of note is the Affordable Housing Committee will be meeting next Tuesday night at 7 via Zoom.
Thank you. I have a couple things tonight. We had the police versus fire football game last weekend, and it was a close game, but the police were victorious this year. But it was wonderful. Raised money for, I believe it was the Football and Cheer Association, and it was a great time. It was had by all. Also, on Trenton Waterworks, our attorney has filed a motion to intervene in the lawsuit brought by the DEP against Trenton Waterworks, so that will be heard. I believe the motion will be heard next week, and we will hopefully become a part of that lawsuit. And then also the Veterans Day ceremony, I'd like to thank the Hopewell Valley Veterans Association. It was a meaningful, beautiful ceremony, as always. So now we have our
Mayor,
first. Oh, yeah.
I forgot one thing, if I
Yeah,
could note it.
of course.
You know, I'm sure everybody is aware that the referendums proposed by the Hopewell Valley School Board passed. Our attorneys are working with board attorneys on the right mechanism. We have committed to spend to fund the Bear Tavern extension to $16.1 million. The attorneys are working on figuring out the best way to do that. And of course, everything is contingent on the successful resolution of the lawsuit. So I just wanted to remind folks of that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I just would like
Okay.
to, I know Mr. Ruger has worked tirelessly on this and being a liaison of the school. Thank you so much for helping all that and circling back the information between school and the township. Thank you.
Great. Okay, so we now open up to our first public comment section. There will be a second one at the end of the meeting, and we also have a work session on the LHT, which will be coming up at the end of the meeting. But if you have anything you would like to say, please come to the podium, state your name, where you live, limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. If you're on Zoom, please raise your hand, and Ms. Fenton Newman will call you.
Good evening. Andrew Borders, Hilton Court in the Township. Andrew Borders, Hilton Court in the Township. You can all rest easy. The non-existent parking problem on Hilton Court has been solved. The striping company bravely stormed our street in a surprise mission on Friday morning, awakening me with a honking horn at 7:30 on a school holiday and pounding on my door to move my car. That's when I realized my October 30th email, the one responding to the last communication I received from the Township, was just going to be ignored like so many other efforts I've made to get you to do your job and involve residents in a decision that affects them. Ms. Burkhead's email that day read, quote, "Sir, the township must install the striping as designed. However, the township agrees to decrease the number of no parking signs from 5 to 3. Thank you, Wendy." So I followed up. Must says who? What was the process to go from 5 to 3 signs, and why wasn't I afforded the variance process I asked for, as we have for environmental and land use issues? I cited the very same manual Ms. Burkhead referenced, showing she had discretion. No response. I included the clerk and asked this matter be placed on tonight's agenda. No response. The mayor, the deputy mayor, the director of public works, no response, no response, no response. Tell me, Mayor, when was a resident supposed to weigh in on this project? 6 years ago? Any time in the 6 years this project sat on the shelf? Or just before mid-September, when even the condo board didn't know construction was weeks away, and the deputy mayor didn't respond to my email asking when it would begin? This morning I filed an open public records request. We're going to find out how many thousands of our tax dollars were wasted on an island no one has bothered to justify, on striping we didn't need, and on 3 no parking signs when no one can tell me why 1 sign wouldn't have done the job. So tonight I have no requests. The work's done, and every attempt I've made in person and in writing has been all but disregarded. You ignored the one resident who actually showed up and tried to work with you to find a practical, low-impact, lower-cost solution. It's apparent to me that our votes matter to you, but not our views conceptually or literally. My only questions tonight are why and how. Why is our township engineer unwilling to work with a resident who asks repeatedly to collaborate? Why has the one committee member who lives in Brandon Farms said nothing on an issue affecting her neighborhood? Why have others on the committee, who I expected better from, remained silent? How, as supposed public servants, is this an acceptable way to serve the public? And yes, I do expect answers. I came here asking to be heard, and instead you've shown me how far this township has drifted from what public service is supposed to mean. That's on you, Mayor. The buck stops with you. I am a homeowner, one of 8 on this street. I deserve to be listened to. I deserve to have my 15 years living on Hilton Court taken into account in shaping this project. I tried everything I could, attending meetings, sending emails, calling the township engineer. Every avenue that should have mattered. Instead, every day I live on Hilton Court, what I will see will stand as a reminder of how a tax-paying, civic-minded resident was treated with an insulting and infuriating degree of disregard. So to whatever degree you may be bothered by my comments tonight, Mayor, think of how bothered I must feel that my voice as a resident was all but silenced in the unaccountable process that has shaped what I see outside my home every single day. I may have been the only one to persist on this, but remember, when residents stop bothering to speak up, it doesn't mean they're satisfied. It means they already knew what I hoped wouldn't be true. They've stopped believing you will listen.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Deborah Miliaresas, 10 Flower Hill Terrace, Pennington. At the last meeting and all the meetings before, I have spoken on the traffic that has increased substantially since the building of Woodmont Forge. Today, I timed the traffic light that goes from Bull Run Road to get onto 31. From green light to red light, it was 9.6 seconds, which allows only 3 cars to go through. Otherwise, you're going through a red light. I did a Google search for a yellow light. It's typically 3 to 6 seconds that a yellow light is present. So that is more than a third. So for 3 seconds, there's a green, 3 seconds yellow, and then it's red, which is terrible. Considering that when the SciPec school lets out, there's no way to make any moves on Bull Run Road. At the Ewing meeting that I went to last month, I brought it to the council's attention that students for the SciPec Center, which is located on the Hopewell side of Bull Run Road, that students are parking on the grass and they're also parking across the street. It's dangerous. There's no crosswalk for these students. They're all making quick exits. Their parents are parking on the side of the road. They're parking on the grass. It's bedlam. And now they're going either to the corner, which we know needs a roundabout and or a traffic light, and they're stuck. People that come out of Woodmont Forge all have to go around the block to get to 95, which again is a traffic light that only lasts 9.6 seconds. Ewing Mayor said that this is a Hopewell issue. SciPec Center, all the students parking on the street has nothing to do with them. It's Hopewell. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Dean Innocenzi, Flower Hill Drive. I just want to comment on like the planning board. I was on the last Zoom meeting for some affordable housing stuff, and it was kind of alarming to see members of the planning board speak on how they brought up issues, and within the planning board, they were told, oh, next time it would come up, you can say something. And then at this meeting, they tried to, and they were like shot down, you know, saying it was too late. So like, it's hard for us to believe in like, you know, our voices being heard when we see within the planning board itself, it's just not functioning. So, you know, that was a little upsetting. That's it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Is there anyone on Zoom, Ms. Fenton Newman? Okay, so with that, I will close the public comment section. I will, for the Hilton Court, I will defer to Ms. Burkhead and perhaps Mr. Goodell on the process for I know this was a very long process with a lot of involvement from the condo board on the township taking over these roads and the rules involved on the striping and the no parking signs. Could you please explain to us, is that something that residents can weigh in on, and if so, how that happens?
Yes, thank you. Sorry. As I'm sure most of you know, this process started back in 2017 when Mark Katriniak was the township engineer. At that time, he had been working with the outside consultant in regards to the fact that a lot of the roads that are in Brandon Farms were not built to RSIS standards, things like that, that would normally be adhered to if it was going to be a township-owned road. The development was approved as it was in the beginning because they were going to be private roads. When the township worked with the the homeowners association from Brandon Farms, my understanding was that Mr. Katriniak spoke with them and stated that for certain roads, we had to bring them up to RSI standards. We had to meet very specific, otherwise the township would not take ownership. So that started the design process on that in 2017. From everything that I can see, the design was completed in about 2023. I don't know. I have not seen anything. I don't know if for a fact. I can continue my research, but I don't know if there was actually like a public session held or if this was just truly negotiations between the township and the homeowners association.
The homeowners association, in my understanding, was definitely involved. Would you confirm that, Mr. Goodell?
Yeah. Every step of the way.
Every step of the way.
Particularly through their legal counsel.
Yes. So go ahead.
So that's where I was just saying, I don't know that necessarily a public meeting with the individual residents themselves was held, but I do know that, yes, the homeowners association. And I was under, maybe mistakenly, the assumption that the homeowners association was disseminating all the information as necessary to its own members and the residents of Brandon Farms.
Understood. Anything you would like to add, Mr. Goodell?
Because it started even before 2017. The Homeowners Association, which was responsible for maintaining their own private roads, came to the township and said they would like to be relieved of that obligation because it cost a lot of money. And the roads were in disrepair and they needed to be fixed. There's a law that says that a township has an obligation to take over roads if they meet public standards. In other words, roads that were originally built to be private roads, like these were, cannot be taken over, and there's no obligation for municipality to take them over. But if they do meet municipal standards, and that means standards that meet RSIS, the nationwide residential site improvement standards, then the township can do it. So then there was a long negotiation process, which involved the engineers for both the homeowners association and for Hopewell, as to how those roads would be taken over, and how roads that did not meet the standards could be brought to meet standards. And some of them simply could not be. That came to a head, I think, back in 2023 maybe, when we had final resolutions and we signed off on revised agreements with the homeowners association. So all of that was done, and then there was a ordinance that we adopted with a public hearing that allowed us to take over ownership of those roads, which had then been dedicated by the homeowners association. The very last thing to happen was that we bid the project this year. That just meant that now that we own the roads and were responsible for them, now we would actually bring up the ones to standards that needed to be brought up to standards and pave the roads, as I understand it, for the first time in a long time. That's what's been done. So no, there was no opportunity at this very late date to change the process or redesign what had been agreed to a long time ago.
With a lot of involvement from the homeowners association.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so for Flower Hill, thank you for bringing that to our attention. I did not know about that there was a timing issue on Bull Run and 31. I've heard a lot about the other side, but that would be a state highway, and is Bull Run there a county road or a township road? I don't, Ms. Burkhead, do you know? I don't expect you to know that off the top of your head, but in any case, we would need to probably contact DOT for a timing, New Jersey DOT for a timing issue.
Correct.
On the lights. Would you mind reaching out to them? DOT sometimes is not the fastest at getting back to us. We're still working on that light on Ingleside and 31, but hopefully a timing issue, they would be more open to at least hearing, we will do our best to see if they can change the timing there and at least get some information about that. Parking at the side. Go ahead, Mr. Ruder.
I seem to recall, and Mr. Snyder, maybe you recall it, a couple of years ago there was a similar timing issue at 31 and Titus Mill Road, and I think that one was resolved
I do believe
relatively
you're right.
quickly.
Maybe, okay.
So there is precedent to go and talk with them about a timing issue.
Okay.
Because,
We're on this, the speed limit, which I had brought up last month.
I will get to that. Wait, give me 1 second. So I will talk about the speed limit. I have the police have done a speed study on Bull Run Road. I will get the results from the speed study on Bull Run Road and report on that at our next meeting. So that's the process. But on the SIPEC Center, so Ms. Burkhead, you'll reach out to DOT about the timing of the light. And as Mr. Ruger said, we did have, they were very helpful with the Titus Mill and 31. We had a similar issue. So perhaps this won't be as difficult as we fear.
Yes.
But the parking at the SIPEC Center School, Mr. Snyder, have you had any complaints about that, or does anybody have contact with the SIPEC Center? I feel like that's something we should reach out to the school and find out what's going on.
Okay,
there.
I have not heard any complaints about it, just
Okay.
the first time, but doesn't mean a problem doesn't exist.
So would you mind reaching out to the SIPEC Center School and seeing how we can help resolve their parking issue if they're, we don't want to put anyone in danger when they're getting from their cars to the school. So if we could facilitate anything there, that would be, I think, useful.
Absolutely, Mayor, sure.
With the planning board, I was not at the planning board meeting, so I don't, Ms. Ferrandaria, do you have anything you'd want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm part of the planning board, and as far as I remember, enough time was given for every resident. There are some residents here from that hearing, and if there is something, you can always, we have a public open session there, and it's not really a project related, and you can voice your opinion there. But in my understanding, enough time was given to everybody. There were several hearings about affordable housing, and if something in particular meeting has something missed, we can always have the recordings of the planning board. I can look into that, but yeah, as I said, come to the next planning board meeting. The information is on the township webpage, or I can email it to me. I can send it to next meeting details, and we can take it from there. Thank you.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about public comments, though. I was referring to how.
You know, I'm sorry, there can't be a back and forth because you're not on the microphone, you can't. But there's another opportunity to speak at the end. And you can also always reach out to any one of us offline or an email or phone. We'd be happy to talk to you. Okay, so the minutes submitted for approval, we have the regular and executive meeting minutes of October 20th, 2025. May I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Minutes are adopted. I actually would like to table, we have an ordinance about our forest management and tree removal. I'm going to table this. I have some concerns after reviewing the ordinance. And I want to figure out, I know some of it is required by the state. I want to find out exactly how much of it is required, because this I thought was a bit of an overreach. It required any homeowner to notify the township if they're removing a dead tree from their property and get a permit and a removal plan for removing one pretty small tree. And it just seemed a little bit much for me. So I would like to table that unless, well, if anybody else has any comments or questions on this.
Wendy, is this part of the stormwater management?
It is part of the stormwater
So
management.
what are the deadlines for that?
Actually, technically last year.
Okay.
I just can't support it as written, so we can see what, I would like to know what the state is exactly requiring, if all of this is required, and so what happens if we don't do it. I think it's a huge overreach.
Yeah, I share your concern when I read it, and I understand that this is not the first mandate that would come down from the state. That might not make a lot of sense. But, you know, I'm looking at things, is farmland property exempt? How do we make sure that arborists and tree removal people know, what is the penalty if somebody doesn't do this? You could easily be an inadvertent violation of this.
Yeah, like over mulching was considered tree removal, or if you accidentally kill a tree by over mulching it, that's,
So, I don't know. Mayor, I don't know if it might be better for, I did not discuss this with you, so I'm just kind of throwing it out there. Do we need to have a work session on this so that we can fully understand
Yeah, we can talk about that for a later meeting. We can discuss with Ms. Burkhead, but maybe the first question is just what does the state actually require?
Yeah, but that's why I'm thinking it would be helpful in a work session to
might be
understand. I mean, we're already late.
All right, go ahead.
We can, I've had, doing this in the past, we can take part of their model ordinance, which is basically what you saw, and try to merge it together with our own, with what Hopewell's current is, and then not necessarily address everything as strictly as they're saying, but as long as we address, I think, the major points of it, and if we can get their sign off on it, it may not necessarily be as strict or as comprehensive as the model ordinance is, but at least we'd still stick within our standards, but while also including some of theirs.
And so they would like to hear all of those options. I mean, we went from something like 150 inches of circumference over 10 years to 1 6-inch tree. You can't remove 1 6-inch tree on your property without a permit and a removal plan and approval from the Community Development Department. I just think that that's a lot of government.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pro-tree.
I mean,
so,
pro-tree.
But again, I think, emerald ash borer has killed so many trees, and having having the zoning officer have to come out and certify, it's like, yep, that dead tree is in fact a dead tree.
Yeah.
Just, Mayor,
Doesn't
as you
seem like
said, understanding, and what is the best and highest use of our zoning officer and other people as well.
Great. So, okay, thank you for that. All right, so moving to the consent agenda, we have A, a resolution authorizing refund of permit fee, B, a resolution approving the payment of unused vacation time and compensatory time to Joshua Gaynor, C, a resolution for redemption of tax sale certificates, D, a resolution authorizing refund of tax overpayment, number 1, E, a resolution authorizing refund of tax overpayment, number 2, F, a resolution authorizing refund of tax or sewer overpayment. Could I have a motion for the consent agenda, please? And a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments from the committee? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Consent agenda is adopted. Next, we have a resolution approving a salary and title change for Mr. Byrd, Mr. Snyder. Oh, we could have a motion, please.
Second.
Mr. Snyder.
Thank you, Mayor. And I see TJ or Thomas Byrd is in the audience tonight with his wife and daughter, and any other family members?
Mother and father.
His parents behind him. But thanks for coming out. So in 2025, a Buildings and Grounds, Parks and Recreation Foreman position was established within the Public Works Department to enhance the management and maintenance of municipal facilities and public spaces. Following a thorough recruitment process that included interviews with multiple highly qualified candidates from both internal and external sources, as well as a written examination, it is recommended that Thomas Byrd be promoted from his current role as truck driver to the Buildings and Grounds Parks and Rec Foreman position. Mr. Byrd has consistently demonstrated strong leadership abilities and a deep understanding of operations, making him an ideal candidate for this role.
Congratulations. Yeah, well, we should probably vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? So, congratulations. Yeah, and thank you for your first responder service. I appreciate it. Next, we have a resolution approving a salary and title change for Self Gomez. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
And a second? Mr. Snyder.
Thank you, Mayor. Also, a heavy equipment operator position has recently added to the Public Works team to augment their our capabilities in leaf and brush collection, as well as tree removal operations. The position was added to improve the efficiency and scope of seasonal cleanups and year-round work, and through a promotional process involving interviews and a practical exam. Casey Self Gomes, a light equipment operator, having a strong track record, was selected as the next heavy equipment operator, and this decision came after evaluating 2 experienced internal candidates.
Okay, wonderful. Any questions or comments from the committee? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? All right, congratulations to the, And the Byrd family, you are more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but we will not be offended if you decide that you would like to go celebrate. Yeah. Hope you can go celebrate. Next, we have C, a resolution appointing Alex Duran as per diem animal control officer in the health department. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Mr. Snyder.
Mr. Duran will be appointed as the per diem animal control officer, replacing the officer who resigned last summer. She holds the necessary certification and also serves as an animal control officer in another municipality. The per diem position will provide coverage for the full-time animal control officer during her vacations or when there are multiple service calls.
Okay, wonderful.
That's great.
Any questions or comments from the committee?
No.
All
I
those-
just want to thank you for doing this, and it's another opportunity to recognize what a fantastic job Belinda does.
Yeah.
We called her last week because we had a deer with a bandana in our yard, which we do not normally see. So she was helpful in trying to figure out what was going on.
Oh, that's great to hear.
can really
I'll pass
do
that along
anything.
too. Yes, very knowledgeable.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Resolution passes. D, a resolution approving 2026 annual compensation for the Hopewell Township Board of Fire Commissioners, Fire District Number 1. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Mr. Snyder.
Okay, so the New Jersey statute requires the township governing body to review the fire commissioner's salaries each year. And this proposed 2026 compensation remains the same as 2025.
Okay, any questions or comments from the committee? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Resolution passes. E, a resolution authorizing an agreement with the state of New Jersey for a deer management program grant. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Snyder.
I'm on a roll.
Yeah.
The township has been awarded a grant of $8,250 from the state of New Jersey to support its deer management efforts. The township is not obligated to provide matching funds for this grant, and the resources will be used for the installation of signage and the development of designated parking areas and improved access to various sites dedicated to deer management.
Thank you. And as the deer management liaison, I can say that this is much needed and will be put to very good use, and our deer hunters are currently working diligently to control the deer population in Hopewell Township. So, any questions or comments from the committee? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Resolution passes. F, a resolution amending the Township of Hopewell Personnel Policies and Procedures Manual. May I have a motion, please? So moved. Mr. Snyder again.
The township's insurance carrier requires updates to the personnel policy and procedures manual every 2 years. So it falls on this year. The modifications address compliance with workplace harassment policies, the Pregnancy Fairness Act, and vacation leave regulations as outlined by the State Comptroller's Office.
Okay, any questions or comments from the committee? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Resolution passes. G, a resolution of the Township of Hopewell and the County of Mercer, State of New Jersey, authorizing the Township of Hopewell change order number 1 to bid number 25-09, 2025 roads program. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
This one's Ms. Burkhead. You get a break, Mr. Snyder.
This year's road program bids came in favorably low, allowing us to allocate funds for the addition of 4 roads to the project. Those roads include Trimmer Avenue, Nero's Alley, Cortland Drive, and Ridgeview Drive. Incorporating these roads into the 2025 project will expedite the timeline for the remaining roads on the paving list. The total cost increase for this addition is $147,969, representing a 7.72% increase of the award amount of $1,924,038. The road paving budget has the capacity to cover this increase.
So it's still under our road paving budget, even though it's an increase in what the original
Correct.
award was. Okay.
Correct.
And I would like to thank Ms. Troutman and Mr. Kaczynski for always pushing us to get our capital budget done quickly so that we can get favorably road pricing, favorably low pricing on the road paving projects. Any questions or comments from the committee? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Resolution passes. H, a resolution authorizing the municipal clerk to certify that the governing body has reviewed the completed best practices inventory at a public meeting. May I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Ms. Troutman, let's review
Let's
best
discuss this so we can certify.
Yeah.
So a few years ago, the state of New Jersey came up with the ruling that there's a survey of questions that come out, and the municipalities need to answer the questions, and you're scored upon the answers. And the state of New Jersey has come out with a ruling that set a threshold of a positive score in order to receive 100% of your state aid. So oftentimes it's topics of compliance, or it's topics of competencies and best practices. So I'm just going to give you a little summary of what this year's questions related to. There was budget questions, emergency services, capital projects, environmental questions, ethics, financial administration, insurance, lead remediation, opportunity zones, personnel matters, procurement, redevelopment, shared services, technology, transparency, and utilities. So out of all those topics, and then there were a total of possible 43.5 points, and there were scored and unscored questions. The unscored questions often become a scored question in the future, and it's kind of a guide to just to have you think a little more what our practices are. So our unscored questions were related to budget matters, lead remediation, opportunity zones, which the township does not have. So personnel matters, shared services, technology, consolidation of shared services. And so out of the possible 43.5 points, the township scored 41 points, which means we will receive 100% of the state aid, because the threshold in order to receive 100% was 32.
Wow.
So we did quite well on our scoring.
Good work. Thank you, Ms. Troutman. Any questions or comments from the committee? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Resolution passes. I, a resolution authorizing the award of required disclosure contract with iProject Solutions LLC for iDesktop Commander Workstation Model DSK-434K. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Mr. Snyder.
The municipal construction office is installing a workstation that's similar to a smart screen, and the workstation will display plans that can be marked up for review. And by storing the plans electronically, the number of paper plans submitted and stored will be reduced. And they're also moving to having all plans submitted electronically to reduce storage space. And the project leverages our technology to lower cost and improve efficiency program. And so this ordinance is just part of is it necessary because it's over the 17.5 threshold.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
I said an ordinance,
Yes,
resolution.
right, resolution. I understand. Any questions or comments from the committee?
I think this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Great to do, and digital storage is more efficient.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Resolution passes. J, a resolution authorizing professional services agreement in a non-fair and open manner, Van Cleef Engineering Associates, LLC. May I have a motion, please? And a second? Ms. Burkhead.
Thank you, Mayor. This resolution is for two professional service awards to Van Cleef Engineering. The first one is for $38,500 for the award to complete and submit the watershed inventory report that is due to NJDEP by the end of this year. The second one is for the construction oversight of the LHT Mount Rose Distillery West segment, which was designed by Boswell Engineering. So Van Cleef will do the project management.
So we'll be taking over for Boswell.
Correct.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, any questions or comments from the committee?
No,
All
that's
those
good. Thank you.
Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Resolution passes. K, a resolution amending professional services agreements. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
And a second?
Second?
Ms. Troutman.
So we have a need to make some adjustments to our existing professional service agreements for various reasons related to affordable housing matters for the third and fourth round. There was some litigation matters with the zoning board. And then we also have an increase to our bond counsel for the assistance that we had with going out to market and borrowing money earlier this year.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the committee? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Resolution passes. L, a resolution to cancel the unexpended balance in the 2025 Stony Brook Regional Sewer Utility Budget. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Ms. Troutman.
Thank you. So this resolution is looking to cancel $25,000 out of the adopted budget for the Stony Brook Regional Sewer Utility. Earlier this year, when the year began and the budget was adopted, we were presented with an estimated cost from the Stony Brook Sewer Authority for what it would cost for treatment for the year. So due to a couple of factors, that one meaning the I&I project that the township did, we've had a positive impact on the flow that goes through the system. And the second is a positive impact of having a dry season and a drought is that there is less flow going through the system. So the Stony Brook Sewer Authority gave us a reduced bill for the fourth quarter this year.
Wonderful.
So we are able to cancel $25,000 out of their budget, which will help them going forward into the next year.
Excellent. Any questions or comments from the committee? Roll call, please.
Committee Member Pirandardi?
Yes.
Committee Member Ruger?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Jay?
Yes.
Mayor Peters Manning?
Yes.
And the resolution passes.
Next, we have a 2025 budget transfer resolution number 1. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Again, Ms. Troutman.
Thank you. This resolution is to transfer funds from our adopted budget from some departments, salary and wage lines, operating lines, over to other departments where here we are in this part of the year where we have needs to continue services for both professional services as well as procurement of a few items. As the year comes to an end, we need just move some money around. We are able to move money out of certain departments with the health department, because when we adopted our budget in the beginning of the year, that was when we had lost some grant funding, and after budget adoption, some of the funds were reinstated, as well as earning a new grant in the health department after the budget adoption. So we do have excess funds in the salary and wage line, which is helping us to be able to move money around here at the end of the year in order to continue some of these other services.
Great.
And one of the other, I just want to note that when we adopted our 2025 budget, we did make an increase to our utility line in anticipation of knowing the rates would be going up and that we would be spending more. It just wasn't quite enough, and we still need to transfer about $20,000 over to hopefully get through the end of this calendar year.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any questions or comments from the committee? Roll call, please.
Committee Member Pirondari,
Yes.
Committee Member Ruger,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Chait,
Yes.
Mayor Peters Manning.
Yes.
And this resolution passes.
Next, we have N, a resolution providing for the insertion of any special item of revenue in the budget of any county or municipality pursuant to NJSA 40A:4-87, Chapter 159, PL 1985, ELSA Sewer Utility. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Ms. Troutman, 'tis the season.
Tis the season, yes. So a Chapter 159 is something that you normally would see, and I present to you when we have a grant and we want to adopt a grant and add it to our operating budget. This is a 159 for the sewer utility. It is not grant related, so I just want to make that clear. The ELSA sewer utility has had multiple new users come on board after the adoption of our budget this year. We've had new residents at the park, the collection, and at Woodmont, and we need to be able to increase our adopted budget for the ELSA sewer utility by $50,000 in order to cover the treatment costs that are needed for the new users. So the offset to that, so when you do a 159, it's an increase of your revenues as well as your appropriations. So we do have revenues coming in because the new residents are being billed. So this is the offset appropriation to add money for the treatment cost.
Okay, understood. Any questions or comments from the committee? Roll call, please.
Committee Member Pirondari,
Yes.
Committee Member Ruger,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Chait,
Yes.
Mayor Peters Manning.
Yes.
And that resolution passes.
Next, we have O, a resolution authorizing performance bond release for B1 Medicines, Hopewell Urban Renewal LLC, FKA Beijing USA Inc., currently in draft form. I think it's not in draft form anymore, is that right?
It is not.
It is not in draft form, so let's take that out. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Ms. Troutman?
So upon completion of the planning board process and before construction begins, a developer would put up a surety bond as well as a cash performance guarantee through the construction phase. Mark Katriniak, the redevelopment engineer, has recommended that we reduce the surety bond and the cash performance related to B1, as when the money was accepted, it was Beijing, now it's B1. And so this resolution is just authorizing the refund of the cash piece and a reduction of the surety bond.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the committee? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Resolution passes. Next, we have bills and claims number 1. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Ms. Troutman?
I just wanted to point out this is a $10.7 million bills and claims, of which a little over $8 million of it is going to go to the county by the end of this week. And then 1.5 of this will go to the fire district later on in the month.
Okay.
And then there's 2 payroll cycles on here, so it's a little bit higher than normal.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the committee? Roll call, please.
Committee Member Pirondari,
Yes.
Committee Member Ruger,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Chait,
Yes.
Mayor Peters Manning.
Yes.
And bill resolution number 1 passes.
Next, we have bills and claims number 2, which I believe is the Comcast bill. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Committee Member Pirondari,
Yes.
Committee Member Ruger,
Abstain.
Deputy Mayor Chait,
Yes.
Mayor Peters Manning.
Yes.
Bill resolution number 2 passes.
Okay, now we have a work session on the Lawrence Hopewell Trail. We have a bid that we need to award on the final segment, and we need to determine whether we want flashing beacon lights for the pedestrian crossing. So, Mr. Snyder, I believe you reached out to the homeowners and informed them of this meeting. So, I guess we'll have you start off the explanation, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. And yes, we did reach out to the homeowners impacted by, that would be affected by the lights. And I see David Sandel and Claire Willie from LHT here tonight, and maybe they will speak a little bit too. Are any homeowners here, David? No?
So,
Okay.
Anyone on Zoom, Ms. Van Newman? If you're on Zoom and you're here for this topic, if you could just raise your hand so
There
Ms. Van
isn't a
Newman.
soul on Zoom except for George and I.
Okay, nobody on Zoom. Okay.
So I'll share, we'll continue?
Yes, please.
Yeah, okay. I'll share a drawing from the bid package. I'll try to move some
My
of
glasses
this.
for that.
All right, and so there are, in the proposal, we have two options in the bid. One, which is stop signs, and that's actually on this next page. Alternate one is a stop sign, and alternate two is flashing pedestrian beacons. And we have to decide which direction we want to go before we award the bid. And the signals will be right here at the intersection of Weldon Way and Moore's Mill, Mount Rose Road. One at this corner and one at this corner. They'll be activated. Are they motion activated or push button?
The flashing ones are motion. I apologize. The alternate B, the alternate one is a push button to activate the flashing lights.
Okay.
Okay, so push button. All right. So, and Ms. Burkhead could speak more about the safety requirements of and the benefits of having the flashing beacons.
Just to clarify what Mr. Snyder just said. So option A was basically just a, on the next page, yes, is the alternate in the top, oops, scroll up, please. Okay. The top left-hand corner, which is just your standard, like, retro-reflective road crossing sign. That's all it would be. So it would just be the concrete foundation, the pole, and just a standard crossing. If you look at alternate B to the right-hand side, you'll see the push button for the activation, the bar of lights, and then the same sign. So it's basically, they feel that with the flashing beacon, it's actually will grab the driver's attention more readily than just the standard sign. The only difference with this would be the pricing within the bid itself. Is the difference between the two is about $27,000.
$27,000. And it's not required for us to do this?
No, that's why they were two alternates. So we can make the decision of, do we just put in the standard sign that shows, that would still, mark out where the crossing for the trail is going to be across the roadway, or it would have the sign and then also the flashing bar of lights.
Okay.
So is alternate number, just so I'm sure, alternate two, is it a motion detected or is it a push button?
There's a push button.
Okay, so there is no motion detected option?
No.
Okay.
So it
thank
only
you.
goes off when someone's actually going to cross
Correct.
the road?
Okay.
That makes me feel better.
Yes.
And Mr. Snyder, before we hear from the LHT, did you hear anything back from the residents? Because I remember when this first came up, it was several years ago, we heard from some residents that said they did not want a flashing light in front of their.
That is correct. Some residents did make it known that did not want flashing beacons in front of their house, but I have not heard back from the residents. Have you?
I have not heard anything.
So how did you reach out to them? Email?
Letters.
Oh,
In writing.
announcing this meeting tonight?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Okay, Mr. Sandel, would you like to say anything, or Ms. Lilly?
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Snyder, if you could roll back to the crossing. The thing I would add to this, a couple of things actually. The Moore's Mill Mount Rose roadway and the adjacent roadway, Pennington Rocky Hill Road, are both very dangerous for cyclists. Excuse me. The DVRPC rates roadways on a scale of 1 to 4. 1, comfortable for children. 4, only the bravest cyclists would take them on. Both Moore's Mill and Pennington Rocky Hill Road are 4s.
Wow.
So fast traffic, and then what goes along with that is Weldon Way is the opposite. It's a 1. So what we'd anticipate is residents from Weldon Way, including children, will be crossing the street into another very quiet area, but across a very dangerous road. And then the only other thing I'd add is the flashers are meant to be seen by drivers. When we did some research to try to find anybody objecting to the flashers being used, there's no literature on that on the internet at all.
Really? Okay.
So it's a brief 7 to 15 second flash. It's directed at the drivers, not the crossers. And it's a remarkable improvement in safety. It slows, according to, DOT, US DOT, It's a 98% reduction in traffic speeds and almost a 50% reduction in accidents.
Wow. That's
So
hard to
that's
argue.
the benefit of having
Yeah.
the flashing.
Any questions from the committee for Mr. Sandel?
So these are, Mr. Sandel or Ms. Burkhead, these are yellow flashing lights, not red flashing lights?
Correct.
So legally, yellow, it's slowing down. It's
Is
not
warning.
coming to a full stop.
Correct.
Okay.
And just to confirm, so is this very similar, because I know it's also push button, to the push button pedestrian crossing that's at Scotch/Bird and Penny Narbarton?
Yes.
Yeah.
And also adjacent at Bailey Way on the other side of this, there's a flasher in place. You can safely cross the 100-foot segment of the LHT that actually exists on this same tract of land. But it's meant entirely to slow the drivers down along with the prominent sidewalk.
And there's one also
Side.
on Pennington Rocky Hill Road.
Yes, Pennington Rocky Hill, that crossing from Bailey Way across Pennington Rocky Hill into
Gotcha.
this, what would be the segment. Last thing I'd say is when this segment is complete, it's only about a third of a mile, but when this segment is complete, the LHT will have 18 continuous miles from Carter Road all the way back around through Lawrence Township, all the way up through Lawrence Township as far as Preebrook Road in Lawrence Township. So we're down to about 2 miles to complete the entire trail. About 1.5 miles will be left in Hopewell Township at that point.
That's great news.
Yeah. Just to let you know, the beacon lights, I always walk on the LHT, and there are one of the busiest road is Federal City Road when we go, that's there, and it sounds to be very effective, very in line with what Mr. Sandel is saying. That
Yeah, I know you advocated for that with the county and.
Exactly,
yeah.
and that road, that I requested for, and it was completed by the county, is on the Lawrence Pennington Road, which is also very busy intersection where the soccer fields are. And again, I personally would think that since this is particularly a push button, which is not like motion sensor, it
Yeah.
would add the safety to the
It's not like
LHT.
it's going to be going off in the middle of the night when you're trying to sleep.
Well,
Yeah.
that's another thing. Thank you, Mayor, for mentioning that. It's hard to imagine anybody's going to be crossing from, for example, Princeton Farms into the woods in the night.
Right.
I mean, maybe a few, but not very many.
Doesn't sound like a good idea.
The flasher really, it's visible to drivers during the day. That's the important piece. Would people in either, I think it's 2 houses really along Morris Mill Mountain Road that might see it. Is it an extended thing that goes on for a minute or two? No, it's 7 to 15 seconds.
7 to
Just
15
enough to warn
seconds.
people.
Yeah.
I don't know if Mr. Lagman wants to say anything. He's a young father who's got, I think he wants to get his kids across that road safely
Please.
from Princeton Farms.
Good evening, I'm Ron Lagman. I live at 113 Weldon Way, which is about 3 houses away from this intersection along the LHT, so my house is literally on the LHT. I guess just first, thanks for moving forward with this extension. It really brings extra mileage of trail and opens up what we have for both bikers and walkers, so thanks to everyone moving forward on this. I did want to say that I do support the beacon that was mentioned. I understand it is an extra cost, but I think it is well needed, given the speeds of cars that travel along Morris Mill Mountain Road. It's a 2-lane road. I'm pretty sure most cars average about 40, 45 miles an hour. So I know as a parent, I need as much time trying to get my kids across on bikes. So I think this would give improved safety for this crossing, so I highly recommend it. I also know that house, the residents at that house where the beacon's going to be installed are new residents as of this past summer.
Okay.
And they also have a young child, so I'm not sure about the previous criticisms on the beacon in
Yeah.
previous years, but I do support it and think it's recommended. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. I did hear from residents years ago about criticizing it, but I think we didn't have all of this information then. So I think I would support this. I'd like to hear from the rest of the committee.
Again, I can add into that my experience. Just having the stop sign is really not effective. Even the crossings on the road, although we had this argument before when I requested the crossing at the Lawrence Pennington Road that there is a stripes and stop sign, why do we need the beacon? But when we put the beacon, I personally cross that road and it's much more effective than just having the stripes and the stop sign. So if again, there is nobody here not to have it, or the resident explaining the reason for not to have it. With the safety in mind, I fully support it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, obviously there's the question of cost and if there were any residents coming forward with concerns. But the reason I asked the question on the analogous intersection was I've seen firsthand the efficacy of it, even before that was a four-way stop sign intersection where that would slow traffic when being done. And so I think it's a prudent move.
I think that, we've heard about Vision Zero and the reason that the state is looking at roundabouts instead of, signaled intersections. I think this is very much keeping in the spirit of Vision Zero. The fact that and it seems to me that it's highly unlikely that the two residents are actually going to be visually disturbed by this, given the placement of it, given the duration of it.
And that it's a push button.
And that it's a push button. Because I think an earlier version, I think might have arguably been more intrusive than this one. But that is not what we have before us today.
Agree. All right, so I think we can move forward and put this.
Can I ask one more question? And Mr. Sandel, you did mention about the cyclist, right, crossing that same intersection. But since we go with the push button, the cyclists actually have to stop, push the button, and then cross, and rather than just kind of, speeding it through that thing, that also adds into the safety to make the cyclist slowing down there.
Yes, that's exactly right. One of the things we try to do is where there is a crossing like this is to prominently put signage that says stop, and we've actually gotten some smaller stop signs to indicate that, so people know where the LHT is, and Mr. Leichman and Ms. Willie have helped with that, and Mr. Snyder as well. We'll soon be putting signs throughout Princeton Farms to indicate where the trail is, but to Ms. Purandari's point, we ask people to stop, press the button to activate the beacon, and then cross. And we have several situations where that's what's needed, and people tend to respect that. They don't want to take their lives, risk their lives crossing a car coming 50 miles an hour.
Okay, so I hear consensus from the committee that we will move forward with this option. I'm going to search through my emails and see if I can find the people who reached out and just let them know about that we've had this full discussion, and I think there's more reasons to do it than not. So maybe for the next meeting, we'll be able to award the bid with this option. Is that everybody?
Sounds good.
Hearing everyone correctly?
I'll just put one little thing in. The sooner you can get the bid awarded, the better, because remember, bats. This is an area that will be affected by the endangered species. So to the extent that they can start their tree clearing work before I think it is Mr. Snyder's April 1st, I think.
Okay, our next meeting is December 1st, so I think that's the soonest we can get it on.
But it needs to happen between now and then for this project to take place really next year.
Okay. Well, I would expect.
And I just want to thank also you, Mayor, and the committee, and Mr. Snyder and Ms. Burkhead for moving this one along. This is one where George and I got together, was it February, I think? And really started to move things along. Once Ms. Burkhead got on board, we were able to get everybody lined up and the ducks aligned and getting the work done. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for indulging me on this robust conversation, because I wanted to make sure we had discussed all of the options and we're doing the right thing, so thank you. Okay, so now we'll have our final public comment section of the evening. Same rules as last time. If you'd like to speak, come to the podium, state your name, where you live, 3 minutes or less, and there's still nobody on Zoom, Ms. Fenton Newman? Okay, so, anyone?
Andrew Borders, Hilton Court from the Township. So I want to respond to the response to my earlier comments. I understand about the explanation of the why. I'm on board with that. That was for others listening. No dispute there. The only practical concern that I've heard regarding Hilton was the snowplow needed somewhere to turn around. No explanation as to why one no parking sign wouldn't have sufficed there. No explanation on what the island is for. Seems like the snowplow is more than likely going to bump into that than if it just wasn't there. There was a lot of buck passing to the BFCA. The BFCA does not have a staff engineer. The BFCA does not send these things out to bid. The township does. There's no acknowledgement that my request for a meeting with residents to have them have input on this, to at least have them hear from people directly why Howe Court needed to be turned into a through street. No interest on that. A lot easier to pass the buck to the BFCA. You got an election to win, let them take the heat. But someone who is in this public service would have seen that as an opportunity to engage with residents, so you're not just a name on the ballot. They remember you, that you showed up and heard their concerns, but that opportunity was ignored despite my multiple requests for it. It's great to hear that letters were sent about the LHT issue. I love the LHT. I've ridden it, the whole thing, but we would appreciate that as well, the opportunity to come and weigh in on this. You offered another resident the opportunity to engage with you offline. No one was interested in doing that with me. Construction started on October 13th, so I don't buy that, well, this was already done. The township does a lot of construction projects, a lot of paving. One phone call could have said, let's move this to another project. But Ms. Burkhead was the township engineer when construction began on October 13th, so passing the buck to Mr. Katriniak is not going to fly. There's still no answers on must. I asked about must. I explained how the RSIS allows for flexibility. Never got a response on that. Never got a response on what the island is for. I'm sure I'm going to find out that the island costs multiples of what my property tax, portion of my property taxes that goes to the township cost, and yet no one can tell me what it's for. There's no acknowledgement also of how I was treated as someone who bothered to show up to several meetings, sent you several emails, thoughtful, tried to reason with you. No acknowledgement on how that was. And also no acknowledgement about how the workers who were here to do the township's work handled themselves on Friday morning. I woke up to a honking horn, someone pounding on my door to get me to move my car. At least the paving company bothered to tell us we're going to be there on these dates, please move your car. I would have been happy to do that. No acknowledgement of that. So what do we do now? Well, I would love for the parking signs, no parking signs to be ripped out, because still no one has told me why one no parking sign wouldn't suffice for the 3 days a year anymore where there's plowable snow. But we got to look at these big ugly signs on their posts 365 days a year, and including one at the end of the court where no one parks. And other than that, I would just like all of you to think about how this was all handled and ask yourself why you're there and how it could have done better. So you'll hear from me again when we get the Oprah so we can find out how much money was spent on this. But until then, please consider what I've said.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Deborah Millieresis, 10 Flower Hill Terrace. Just a couple of things. I remembered one thing that I wanted to bring up. The traffic circle on 31, the left-hand lane has a distinct arrow. Like, the way that I understand it to work is, if you're in the right lane, you are able to go up and over to continue on 31 North, or you stay in that lane and you're going up into Washington's Crossing. So you remain on the right-hand side of the circle. People who are in the left-hand side of the circle that has the distinct turn arrow use that opportunity to cut you off when you're staying straight or when you're going up Washington Crossing. It needs to be fully signed. I don't know what that means. Additional things. It's every time that someone is riding on my left, I back away, and 9 times out of 10, they cut me off to go up because of traffic, right? Because there's so much traffic on 31. So any attempt, they're going to cut you off. Also, I wanted to ask a question rather. Elsa just came up in the last comment section that Ms. Troutman spoke on. $50,000 is being used to provide more services for all the Lennar buildings. Is that because of the affordability factor, or do the builders pay for that additional usage for Elsa?
That was just the billing to the Elsa customers. So because we had all of these new houses suddenly become online, we had to increase the budget of the sewer utility because the homeowners are paying for Elsa. So it's the homeowners paying for Elsa and then us paying Elsa for their
So the
usage.
homeowners pay you, they pay the
They
township?
are the township bills
Okay.
for Elsa. So it's purely a collecting more money because we have more homes and paying more money to Elsa because we have more homes. It was purely a
transfer.
record keeping.
Okay.
Issue.
And then the last thing that I wanted to comment on, well, 2 more things actually, time. On Flower Hill Lane Road and Terrace, our roads have not been paved for 20 years. There's cracks in the road, there's potholes that come and go. Sometimes they get filled, other times they don't stay filled, but it's dangerous. And we do have the Camelot School there, and they do ride bikes on those roads. So I would like some clarification as to what the timeline is for road paving, considering that, you know, Brandon Farms has issues. We've had issues for 20 years. And then the final thing, what Dean was commenting on before about being present, I was also on that last builders meeting. Questions were raised by 2 residents, one from Hopewell, one from Ewing, and they were dismissed because they were told that it's not the time, or now the time has gone. So what we're looking for is a fair shot. There's a lot on the line for us and our community. I think for the larger population in general, there's a lot on the line for wetlands. We need to have answers, and we need to be present. And that's
Understood.
what we're concerned about.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Anyone
Dean Innocenti again. Just to clarify, it was not members of the public that brought up these questions, it was 2 members of the planning board. So like they brought up issues about trees, and then Frank Banish and this other gentleman, who I guess was someone who was hired, they told these members that it's too late to discuss that. And then the one gentleman made a comment. He said, well, I tried to bring this up before, and I was told it wasn't the right time, and now you're telling me it's too late. So just as a resident, it's, again, like Deborah just said, like, how can we feel confident that any of these issues that we bring up are going to be heard if within the planning board itself, members bring up things and they're just shot down?
I understand the question. Thank you. Anyone else like to speak?
Yeah, David Galley. I just want to ask one thing, because I've actually hired, we're doing an independent study on the wetlands around the Flower Hill. Okay, right now it's in the phase of a desktop study. So at this point, the Davie Resource Group has been hired, and they're going to, eventually the next phase would be to actually get an on-site survey. I approached the College of New Jersey, and they denied access to the land. And I think it would be in the best interest of Hopewell Township, the wetlands, and the residents in that area to get an independent study done. And I would hope, I'm going to put this in writing, I'm going to follow up with this, that the Hopewell Township Council could help me secure some permission from the College of New Jersey. That is public land. And that was gifted to the College of New Jersey by the state of New Jersey. And some of that land was taken from residents in Hopewell Township years ago for one purpose, and then gifted to the College of New Jersey. My grandfather had land taken, the Hobson family, which is in the back, and the Tatler family had land taken, strips of land. And the Klockner farm was basically seized. And I think, as just being a good neighbor and a good steward of the land, I think the College of New Jersey should allow an independent study. And I would hope, I know it's not in their best interest probably to do that. And there's a lot of people that's not probably in their best interest, but I would hope, and just doing the right thing, that the council could possibly help me secure that permission. They have in the past. I don't need to get into it now, but the health department did help me get some access to help maintain some of the land there. And it was a hard-won battle, but I do have a contract with the College of New Jersey to maintain a strip. So it's possible. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to follow up with in writing. So I don't need an answer tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Good evening, Ron Lagman here again. So I'm actually now here in a planning board capacity, being a member of the planning board. So I apologize, I did come in a little bit late, but I did hear some of the comments that were noted earlier. So not to rehash the whole round 3 of the affordable housing, I'm sure this council is very familiar with how that went, but there were lots of residents that were strongly against the approval of the planning board for this third round. And I'm sure many of you are aware that the planning board, we were given a very tight window of approval and
Do you mean the fourth round?
Fourth round.
You're talking about the fourth round.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
fourth round. So with that said, there were pretty much no other options for us for approval that were provided to us by either, whether it was the township or engineering. So I did want to note that several of the members of the planning board did approve that with strong concerns. So I did want to say that, and a lot of evidence was provided by the residents that this does not seem like a suitable location for a possible building, which were not presented to the planning board when we first, I guess, looked at it. So I did want to note that those will be considered as we go through this process. It is not the end-all and be-all for this project in this location, so I did want to note that. But I guess on behalf of the members of the planning board, we do understand the issues and concerns that the residents do have. But I did want to note the short timeline that we did have when we were reviewing this. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm going to defer to Mr. Goodell because I just want to clarify that you're just speaking as yourself and you can't speak on behalf of the entire planning board without a vote of the planning board. Mr. Goodell, would you just help me on that one?
That's right.
Yeah.
There's a couple things there. Number one, the individual you're speaking on your own and not on behalf of the planning board, right? Because you cannot speak on behalf of the planning board. You haven't been authorized to speak on behalf of the planning board. The planning board speaks through its legislative actions, its resolutions. Okay, that said, I might understand a little bit about what some of the complaints are now, although I wasn't at the planning board meetings.
I want to finish public section and then we'll get to all of that, but I just wanted to clarify that one little bit before. Right. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? I think most people have. So I will close the public comment section. We may as well go backwards to forwards. I could agree with you intensely on the time constraints that we had with the fourth round. I think, like the unfunded state mandate that is affordable housing in New Jersey. Since then, I've spoken a lot to the Flower Hill residents. And I hear you about the wetland survey there. We cannot ever build on wetlands. So that will absolutely have to be done before anybody can move forward on that. And if they can't fit everything there that is in the plan, we'll have to find another place to put it. So I've said this isn't the first time I've had this conversation with all of you. So I understand there's frustrations with the planning board. I don't want to comment on what has happened to the planning board. I wasn't there. We don't have a quorum of the planning board. We can't speak for what has happened to the planning board. But I can commit to all of you, for myself, we will continue the conversations. And I think you can all agree that I have been have lots of conversations with you. I'm accessible. We'll talk about it as we go forward. So I think that's that. Is there anything else you want to add, Mr. Goodell?
No. The areas are in the fourth round plan. That does not mean that there will be development on that site. There are so many hoops that have to be jumped through before it's even envisioned there. Among others, you've got to do surveys to determine what can actually be built. From the eyeball, it looked like this might be a good place to develop, which is why they're in the fourth round plan. But all of the scientific studies still have to be done before anybody gets any contracts to do anything at that site.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you.
Can I just add into it? Just that, as me being in the planning board, everybody in the planning board, as well as the committee here, when we voted for the fourth round plan as adopting that suggested by the planning board, we all said that this may not be the ideal situation, we would do it. But as time will tell us, with all the studies and all the reports and environmental commission concerns will be addressed. So if something I might not remember or might have missed it something, again, come to the planning board meeting, speak at the open. I don't think we can reopen that chapter for what happened in the past during the voting of the affordable housing, but you are free to come and address your concern there as well.
When there's a site plan, then we're still, like I said, many steps away from
exactly.
that. Okay.
And we all acknowledge that this is not the ideal situation. that we would want to be, but the time constraint that we had, we have to adopt that within certain time.
Okay, so the paving on Flower Hill, Mr. Snyder, could you explain how our paving priorities are set? And maybe we could have take a second look at Flower Hill if we are having residents letting us know that it is
So
in need.
actually, we have very good news that Flower Hill is on the 2025 paving schedule.
Okay.
But it's
How about that
always
for
approved in this
instant
budget.
results?
So, and it might not get done until spring 2026 because of the time of the paving plants. They close for the winter.
Okay. But
you
it's
know,
happening in the very near
Yes.
future, spring
It is in the
2026
plans.
at the latest. All right, that was the easiest answer ever. Thank you, Mr. Snyder. I hear you on the traffic on 31. I think I have to say, since they put the metering signals in, it's been a lot better, but it's still there's some issues when you're traveling around the Pennington Circle. Traffic circles are an interesting traffic solution. Ms. Burkhead, do you have anything you'd want to add about the striping? I'm not imagining we can try to ask if DOT would change the striping, but they have done a pretty comprehensive change over there.
I was going to say, I don't know that they would. I mean, especially since it is a state road, it would completely under their jurisdiction. Excuse me. I agree with your comment in regards to the lights for the metering into, because I think for the few times I've been through that intersection, when they limit the number of cars that are on the circle at the same time, I think it really does help.
It does.
With the movements and things like that. So I think that metering system actually does help. But I do understand that there are people that either they don't, because there are so many roads that come off that circle also. I mean, there's just like 4 or 5 different roads that all come off that circle. And there's so many different businesses on there that people just don't understand where they're going when they get onto it. So I think a lot of it is last minute decision. I don't know that restriping is going to be able to change anybody's ability to drive better.
Understood. Mr. Ruger?
You know, I'm just curious. There will be more traffic at the intersection with new development. Is there a way to ask the state, are there any safety improvements that can be done at the circle? You know, I don't know what they could be, but I think that it's going to be clear that there is likely not to be less traffic in the future. So maybe it's not an issue of striping. I know that we can't control bad drivers. All we can do is curse at them when they cut us off. But is there a way to improve the overall safety in that circle?
I can reach out to the DOT.
Start with Bull Run and 31 if we have to. I think that one is maybe an easier ask. Maybe we'll get that solution and then we'll do that. If we have to prioritize, that would be my suggestion. But I agree with you, Mr. Booker. Okay, Mr. Borders, I think I'm sorry that you didn't like the answer that you got from Ms. Burkhead. That, like we said, there was a lot of opportunity for public input over many, many, many years. Because there is a condo association which is elected by the people of that neighborhood to represent the neighbors, they had input over many, 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 many years. And at this point, that ship has sort of sailed. I'm sorry that the workers were rude on a Friday morning. I think that I'm not sure what we can do about that at this point. And Ms. Burkhead, could you talk about the requirement for the traffic signs and what the purpose the island serves? I think that's maybe the one thing that we can discuss at this point.
I would have to go back and read a number of the back correspondence in regards to the island. That I don't know. I can reach out to the engineer that actually designed it.
That'd be great.
And find out
if
the
you could get
purpose
that
of
for our
that.
next meeting.
The signs, what they did is at the end of the street, there is a small area for the plow trucks, trash trucks, things like that to do a turn. So they didn't want anybody parking there, so that's where there's a no parking sign. The other ones, basically there's 4 other parking spaces off to the left-hand side at the end. They had a no parking when snow covered in front of each of the spots. So they just felt that so that there would be no ambiguity during snow seasons, things like that, that anybody could park there. So what we did to decrease the number is, since there was 4 spots and 4 signs, I spoke with the engineer and we shifted it so that there's a sign between each of the 2 spots. So that's how we decreased it there. To say, if you're gonna park in the first 2 spots, there's one sign right on the center line dividing there, and the same with the last 2 spots, there's a sign on the center line there. So that's how we decreased that from 4 to 2. They felt that during the design process, that if it wasn't very clearly marked, such as that there would be issues with people parking there when they shouldn't be. So that was the reasoning for all the signage that was there. When I discussed it with the design engineer, they did agree that we could decrease the number to what it is, but since the one is a standalone dead-end area, that had to have its own sign. And then with the other 4 spaces, we just decreased it as much as we could.
Thank you for that thoughtful answer and for taking the residents' concern into account and decreasing the signs. It seems to make sense to me. All right, well, if there is anything else for the good of the order, we will be moving into executive tonight. We have litigation, real estate, and contracts this evening.